Getting after it this morning. Let's go. Let's go. Getting after it this morning. Oh my goodness. Feels nice outside today, man. It's like 70 degrees walking out the house. I know for some of you that's like a little warm. And don't get me wrong, a nice little cool, crisp morning I'm okay with, right? A 55 degree morning I'm okay with. But today, something about that 71 is just like a nice little warm blanket. Walking out to it first thing this morning, I'm like, okay, today is going to be a good day. So got up 3:40 a.m., grabbed my big purple cup of ice water, made my way downstairs, grabbed my Morning 5 planner. If you don't have one of these, you should. This one's the prop, not my one that I actually use, the one that I use at my house. But this is the Morning 5 planner. Boom, at the top of every page of the planner, there is a quote submitted by actual members of this community. I can't get it. Boom, there it is. Getting the cameras to focus. Speak less, do more, and mean every word. Speak less, do more, and mean every word. This was submitted by my guy, Owen Pike. And man, I read it and I was like, holy crap, I think he might be talking to me. By actual members of I think he might be talking to me. Speak less, do more, mean every word. I probably speak too much. I do this little morning show, thing. I try to keep it in 30 minutes, but it normally goes 35. Sometimes we go 40. But then it made me think of a guy named Brian Benstock. Brian Benstock's a dear friend of mine. And sometimes, it just depends on what mood he's in. But sometimes he's just a speak less, do more kind of guy. And it's like, hey, like you notice him, his presence is stronger. It's almost stronger. Because he's a speak less, do more, mean every word kind of guy. So you kind of lean in. Sometimes he'll whisper a little bit, and you got to lean in to really hear what he's trying to say. So anyways, I just thought, really powerful quote. Hadn't heard it before. I like it. Speak less, do more, mean every word. Let's all give it a try. Good morning, and welcome to the #1 morning show in America. I am your host, Glenn Lundy. Husband to 1, father to 9, author, speaker, and the founder of 800%.life. It's 5:30 a.m. and it's time to rise and grind. Hey, good morning. How are you, my friend? Dude, today is Tuesday. That's right, today is Tuesday, a.k.a. Taco Tuesday. Loving me some Taco Tuesday. Now that we moved our boy over, he's not doing things in Lexington, he's doing things in Paris. So now all of our kids' activities are in Paris. Kurt McFarland, I hope your boys enjoyed the video I sent them. I hope they enjoyed it very much. But Taco Tuesday now, we can all actually be in Paris. For the last few years, sometimes on Taco Tuesday, I'll be in Lexington, they'll be in Paris, so on and so forth. We'll be kind of split up because we're doing the kid thing, But now we're all going to be in the same city, which makes Taco Tuesday even better. So I hope you have a happy Taco Tuesday as well. But today is Tuesday, July 28th, 2026. And what's crazy is today is the very first and the very last time it'll ever be Tuesday, July 28th, 2026. So I want to make sure we make the absolute most, and I do mean the absolute most, of this absolutely incredible day. Coming to you live from Lexington, Kentucky, where yesterday we kicked off a new series with a very controversial name. But yesterday we kicked off a new series, and the theme of the series this week is idiots. Now, before you get offended, you got to remember something. You got to remember, I'm an idiot. You're an idiot, whether you want to admit it or not. Your mom's an idiot. Your pastor's an idiot. Your favorite scientist is an idiot. Yep, idiot. Everybody, not because we are unintelligent. No, It's because every single one of us is trying to solve the world's greatest mysteries. Like every question of mankind, we are trying to solve it using a brain that is a predictive, what's the right words? We're using a brain that basically takes information, looks at all the gaps, and then makes predictions on what should fill the gaps, and then does everything in its power to reinforce that decision. That's how it works, right? The brain's like, oh, I don't understand this. It probably should be this, and then let's reinforce it, let's reinforce it, let's reinforce it. Okay, yeah, now we've reinforced this thing. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's true or not true, just means we're filling in the gaps and we're reinforcing it with the best evidence that we could possibly find, which what's very interesting about human beings in general, because we're these pattern-seeking beings, is that we can basically find evidence to reinforce whatever it is we decide we want to reinforce. Like my boy Frank Knox, for example, for years, he has reinforced this idea that you have to leave way, way, way before you need to get to the airport in order to get to the airport. Like, you need to arrive at your gate an hour before boarding type of belief. And so him and I are working on that, and he's doing better. Frank, thanks for sending me your message yesterday. I am so happy that you are coming to grips with the reality that there are some other things you can do besides sitting at the airport an hour before boarding. So listen, we've got this brain floating around in our skull, and we didn't necessarily choose, how it functions or whatever. We're working with what we got. You know what I'm saying? We're working with what we got, and we don't necessarily fully understand a lot of things in this crazy thing called life, but we're doing the best we can. And yesterday we talked about something that kind of makes a lot of people uncomfortable, but we talked about how much of what we say we know have we actually verified ourselves, right? Like most of us have not measured the earth or any of the measurements that they give us along with it, right? They say that we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and then we're traveling at 67,000 miles an hour, and the sun is 90 million miles away, and the gravity of the sun is what pulls and keeps everybody together. But for some weird reason, hi Carol Feely, great to see you. For some weird reason, we've got gravity on an Earth that's holding onto a moon. It's strong enough to keep this huge, massive planet from flying away. But at the same time, things like a feather can float or whatever. And, it's just all these weird things, right? We see things a certain way, but yet we're told things are another. And the real question is, how much have we actually verified? Because most of us have not measured the Earth ourselves. Most of us have not been to space ourselves. Most of us have not personally verified the equations that describe all these motions of the planets. But that doesn't mean that these ideas are wrong. That's not what I'm saying. It means that we inherit an enormous amount of knowledge from other people, and that's what makes up civilization. You see, the great news is none of us have to rediscover everything from scratch. We can lean on the lessons learned from those that came before us, and that's true about science, it's true about spirituality, it's true about fitness, it's true about all these different areas of our lives. But just because it has that benefit doesn't take away the fact that there's a cognitive desire in these little brains of ours. Those that came before us had the same cognitive desire, and those that came before them had the same cognitive desire to fill in the gaps and then find evidence that supports whatever that belief is. And just like things can trend on social media, things can trend when it comes to humanity. So, question for you today, if that can be true about things like space and science and so on and so forth, can that also be true about history? I don't know. I say we talk about it. Before we do, though, you know what we got to do on this show? Hey, for those of you that know, and those of you that don't know, this is the part of the show where I need you to hit that share button. That's right. I need you to hit that share button because I believe with all my heart that if we could change the way people start their day, it'll make a massive impact on this planet. I truly believe that. Now, does that mean it's actually true? I don't know. I have evidence to support it. But I truly believe it. So hit that share button. This is also the part of the show where I want to say good morning to you, and I want you to say good morning to me. Whether you're watching this show live or you're watching this show on replay, I need you to say what's up. All right, drop a comment, let me know you came by. If you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment, let me know you came by. If you're listening to the podcast, drop a comment, let me know that you came by. I think there's a way to do that on the podcast. Maybe there's not, but you could send me a DM, something like that. But I need you to say good morning to me, and I will say good morning to you. I always go back, look at the episodes later, and if you're watching on replay, I'll go in. I'll make sure to go back and say what's up. John Sauer, good morning to you. Thank you for being here this morning. I greatly appreciate it. Mr. Mike Larkin is in the building. Thanks for being here, Mr. Mike Larkin. We've got Maria Lind in the building today. Thanks for being here. Judith Coletti is up in here today as well. Thanks for being here, Judith. Mike Rendine is in the building. Thanks for being here, Mr. Rendine. Luis Grafton Nonis, what up, girl? Thanks for being here. I greatly appreciate you. Jody Tibbs is in the building. Gene Hughes is in the building. Paul Brindley. What's up, Paul Brindley? Thanks for being here. Michael Barrett is in the building as well. Thanks for being here, Michael Barrett. I greatly appreciate it. Spencer Nicholson is in the building. Michael, my eyes are struggling with this one because I can't. I need my readers. Michael Lafate, Leifheit, I believe is what that says. Michael Leifheit, Leif, L-E-I-F, Lafate. I don't know, I keep going French on it. Help me. Ray Drummond is in the building. Thanks for being here, Ray Drummond. Kurt Allen McFarland is up in here today. Tony Thorstad, what up? Jeremy Nolan, good morning. Thanks for being here. I greatly appreciate it. Liza Myers Bortz is in the building. Frank Knox is in the building. What up? Those of you that are watching on replay, for real, what up? Thank you so much for being here. 95% of the people that watch this show watch on replay. It's just a couple of us crazy ones that do it live first thing in the morning. Speaking of crazy ones, we've been doing these events here in my offices right here in Lexington, Kentucky. He says, LMAO, great try. He says, great try. You're supposed to help me though, Michael. You're supposed to pronounce it out for me, so I've got it. Linnell Burns is in the building. Tony Schmidt is in the building. Brooke Guy is in the building. What up, Brooke? I'm going to get to see you later today, too, I hope. I know that you guys have a trip coming up, Croatia, I believe it is. But hey, we've been having these events here in Lexington, Kentucky in my offices. They've been amazing. We have another one coming up September 8th and 9th. September 8th and 9th. If you go to 800%.life/events, 800%.life/events, this is for sales people. So if you are in sales, if you know some people in sales, Leifheit. Okay. Leifheit. I see that now. Leifheit. I was going Leifheit. Okay, Leifheit. Michael Leifheit. It's easy, bro. I got it. All right, Michael Leifheit. Thanks for letting me know. September 8th and 9th, 800%.life/events. If you're in sales, lead salespeople, anything around sales, send your folks. I would greatly appreciate it. We will pour into them. We will send them back freaking motivated, educated, and inspired to do more for you, for your organization. If you are the salesperson, you will leave. I promise you will leave motivated, educated, and inspired. Come check it out.
We don't know.
All right, so let's play a game real quick. No cheating, no Googling. You can't Google it. You just got to answer honestly. How many presidents can you name? How many presidents can you name? And go. All right, name the presidents, name the presidents. How many presidents can you name? How many presidents can you name? Name the presidents, name the presidents. How many presidents can you name? Can you name the presidents? Okay, all right, time's up. How many presidents can you name? All right, now, most people will get a handful, right? You'll be like, Obama. You might say the bad word that you're not allowed to say anymore on social media or anything, right? You might say Trump. You might say Kennedy. You might say Washington. You might say Lincoln, right? Most people will get like a handful, maybe 10 even, right? Most people will get a handful, all right? So now that we've played that game, Kurt says he could do maybe 10 or so. Okay, all right, now we've played that game on how many presidents we can name. Now here's my second question for you this morning. You ready? How many Egyptian pharaohs can you name? Oh, don't worry, I'll wait. Can you name them all? Is there anybody that can name every Egyptian pharaoh? Anybody? Anybody? No? Nobody can do that. What about the emperors of Rome? Can you name all of the emperors of Rome? Can you do that? Or even a handful? Can you do a handful of the emperors of Rome? What about can you name every Chinese dynasty in history? Can you do that? Can you name every Chinese dynasty in history? My guess is probably not. And I find that very interesting because if you think about it, the Chinese civilization, the Roman civilization, and the Egyptian civilization lasted far longer than the United States has even like come close to existing. Far longer. So the question we've got today is, why do you know one? Why do you know some presidents? Why do you know about this civilization? Why do you know about this one but not necessarily the other ones? Why do you think that is? Well, ultimately, the answer, if we're being honest, the answer, part of it is where you were born, but that's not actually the answer if you really think about it. The reason you know about this one but maybe not these other ones is because someone decided what would be taught to you. Someone decided it was more important for you to learn about the American presidents than it was for you to learn about the Chinese dynasty. Somebody decided it was more important that you knew about Lincoln and Washington and so on and so forth than for you to know about Caesar or Augusto or any of these other ones. Someone made that decision at some point. And so you have to think about it, right? I want you to think about school real quick. Think about school. Who decided? Like who? Who decided which chapters got to make the textbook? Who decided which people deserved a paragraph and which people got one sentence? Who decided which wars mattered, which inventors mattered, which cultures mattered? Like, this is not conspiracy talk. This is practical reality. No book on planet Earth can include everything. So every history book is an act of selection, and selection shapes perspective. Here's something fascinating, right? I've got a bunch of kids. I got lots of babies. Love all my babies. Sometimes I'll take my kids on trips by themselves. Sometimes I'll take them on trips where there's more than one. And here's what's interesting. If there's more than one kid on a trip and we go back later, right? A year later, 2 years later, 5 years later, whatever, we go back later and I say, hey, what do you remember from that family vacation that we took, or from that trip to Disneyland, or from that trip to wherever? One kid is going to remember, the Lego park that we visited. Another kid is going to remember how they got in a fight on the beach because Meredith stole her bracelet or whatever. Another kid might remember ice cream or seeing a Disney princess or whatever. Same trip, but a different story for each and every one of them. So now I want you to imagine, project that to trying to reconstruct something that happened 2,000 or 3,000 years ago. Like it's not impossible that we can put those things back together, but it's definitely not simple either, is it? You see, this thing called history, it's not a video recording. It's ultimately detective work. It's detective work, right? Like imagine you're standing in a field. All of a sudden you find a broken pot, a piece of charcoal, some animal bones, right? A few strange markings carved into a rock. And you're like, what the heck happened there? What happened there? Did people live there? Did people worship there? Did people cook there? Did they bury someone there? And the answer is always maybe, maybe not. The evidence is real. There's evidence that something happened there, but the interpretation of that evidence ultimately takes work. That's why looking and studying history, right? It can be fascinating because every single discovery could potentially be an answer to a question, but every single discovery can create 5 more questions. And so when I look at this thing like science, right? When I look at science is always changing, right? It's changing not necessarily because scientists are making things up, but it's changing because as they move on, maybe they find better evidence, right? The science around discovering, freeing people from jail that were wrongly placed in jail, and then later we figure out this DNA stuff, and then with the DNA stuff we can do the connections. You know what I'm saying? Things change and evolve when it comes to science, but if you put that on kind of a little bit bigger scale, even just in my lifetime, I think about dinosaurs. When I was a kid, dinosaurs were all just giant freaking lizards, right? That's it. And then fast forward, now if you start to look up dinosaurs, what's crazy is many of them are depicted with feathers. Now they're starting to say that dinosaurs weren't scaly reptilian things, that they actually were feathered animals closer to being more like birds. Now, this wasn't because someone just decided they want to rewrite history. It's because they took some evidence, they interpreted it a certain way, they found a way to reinforce it, and that changed the picture. But see, this isn't a weakness. I'm not saying that science is wrong or inaccurate or that I know all the answers. What I'm saying is if you actually look at the process, that's humility in action, which is what it seems humanity is missing. It takes humility to say, we used to think the skin was covered with scales, and now we think it's covered with feathers. Let's journey over to Egypt real quick. Let's go to the pyramids, right? Everybody loves talking about the pyramids, right? Now listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that aliens built the pyramids, even though I've watched plenty of episodes of shows that would maybe convince us that that is the case. But I'm also not going to pretend that they're ordinary. I'm not going to pretend to believe that a bunch of men and women with a bunch of ropes took these massive freaking blocks and were able to stack them in such an incredible and unique way. I'm not going to pretend that I think that's the case either. But either way, I just want you to stop and think about them for a second. The pyramids are thousands of years old. There are literally millions of stone blocks. I'm super excited because my daughter Savannah and I, and maybe Joel too, we are going to go visit the pyramids ourselves in September, which I'm super excited about. But millions of stone blocks, thousands of years old, astonishing precision that even today's technology we cannot recreate, astonishing precision. So whether you think we understand every detail of the construction or not, can we at least agree that they are incredible? Linnell Burns says the Giants built them, right? But I don't know who built them. All I know is they're incredible. Can we agree to that? Like sometimes just being able to agree that, wow, like just to say like, man, like to experience wonder about something is enough. Sometimes the best response isn't, I know exactly how it happened. Sometimes the best response a human being can have for something is, wow, wow, wow. And I feel like that's something we've lost, man. Like, I feel like we've lost wonder, right? We're so quick to rush to answers. We Google everything. We argue online. We declare victory. Oh, I was right. You were wrong. But what's crazy is children don't do that, dude. Kids don't do that. Kids just simply ask why over and over and over again. My kids are like, why? Maybe growing wiser isn't asking fewer questions and having more answers. Growing wiser is just asking better questions and more of them. Because if we really zoom in, I want you to think about it. How many stories have been lost forever, right? Like how many libraries have been burned, languages disappeared, entire civilizations have vanished? Like think about that. There's more that has disappeared than there is that we know exists, right? Like human history isn't the only thing that has survived, right? Or I'm sorry, human history isn't only the things that have survived, it's also all the things that didn't survive. Human history isn't just the things we talk about. Human history is the things that we don't talk about. The songs that people sang that'll never be heard again. The inventions that people made that disappeared. The journals that turned to ash. Like how many names are gone forever? Think about it. It should humble each and every one of us. But here's what I think is fascinating. Every single generation believes they're living at the peak of understanding. If you go back and look in the history books, the Greeks believed that they were living in the peak of understanding. The Romans believed they were living in the peak of understanding. People in the Middle Ages believed they were living in the peak of understanding. People 100 years ago, certainly, revolution, like the 20s, the revolutionary, you know what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on that? Industrial Revolution. Those are the words I'm trying to say. The Industrial Revolution. Like people 100 years ago absolutely believed they were the brink of everything, like the brink of all understanding, right? And now it's our turn. We are convinced, you and I are convinced that we are the enlightened ones. And we're on the brink of this AI thing that's just going to solve all the world's things, right? And maybe in many ways we are. Maybe in many ways we're on the brink of some breakthroughs when it comes to medicine. Maybe in many ways we're on a breakthrough when it comes to technology and communication and astronomy. We've learned incredible things, but history suggests something else too. Every generation has blind spots. What are ours? Like I want you to think about medicine, right? Doctors used to prescribe cigarettes to people. They used to think it was a bad idea to wash surgical tools less than 200 years ago. Now, these weren't foolish people. These were just people working with the information that they had at the time. So here's my question. What are you and I doing today that people in 100 years or 200 years are going to look back on with disbelief? And they're going to be like, those people were freaking crazy. Like, I don't know what it's going to be, but history suggests there will be something. So let's make this personal and then let's get out of here because we're running out of time. But what beliefs do you maybe hold on to simply because everyone around you holds on to them? Not just about history, but maybe you have some beliefs about money. Maybe you have some beliefs about success. Maybe you have some beliefs about politics. Maybe you have some beliefs about faith. Maybe you have some beliefs about marriage or education or work. Like, have you ever stopped and asked yourself, why do I believe this? Or is it possible that maybe you don't believe it? Maybe you just inherited it? And the inheritance isn't bad. Like an inheritance in general isn't bad, but unexamined inheritance, that can be dangerous, bro. Because everyone could have had the best of intentions, but the way that our brains work is we piece things together in such a way that we fill the gaps and then we reinforce that evidence and then we pass it on to the next. One of my favorite quotes we talked about a couple weeks ago comes from Socrates. He says, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing." And to be honest, we don't even know if those were actually Socrates' exact words or not, but the idea has endured for centuries. The smartest people I have ever met are not the ones with all the answers. They're the ones who ask questions nobody else thinks to ask. And that's the funny part, right? Like the internet has made all this so much harder because now, whatever it is that you already believe, there's probably 1,000 videos that you can find of people agreeing with you. I can find videos on flat earth. I can find videos on aliens. I can find videos on pyramids being built by giants. Whatever it is, I can find someone who agrees. And if I think a different way than that, I can find someone who agrees with that. I could find videos that will tell you that birds they secretly work for the government, that all birds are actually cameras. That if you see a bird, that bird is watching you. And there's huge forums for this. There's tens of thousands of people who believe this to be true. You see, the internet is incredible, but it also can become an echo chamber. And this isn't because it's evil. It's because algorithms are very good at showing us more of what keeps our attention, that we agree with and that we align with, that we agree with and that we align with, that we agree with and that we align with. That's what the algorithm does, because the algorithm works like you and I's brain. So what is the answer? Should we trust nobody? No. Should we believe everything we're told? No. Maybe the answer is much simpler. Why don't we just be curious? Why don't we look for evidence? Why don't we be willing to change our minds? Why don't we hold our beliefs with conviction, but also hold our certainty with humility? Because those are two different things. I'm going to send you out in the world today, but I want you to imagine walking through the world's largest library. Shelf after shelf after shelf, millions of books. Would you walk in and say, I already know everything worth knowing? Of course you wouldn't. You see, history is like that library. Every year, another page is found, another artifact uncovered, another manuscript translated, another assumption challenged. The story gets richer, not because yesterday was fake, but because learning never stops. So today, I don't want you to leave thinking, I can't trust history. That's not the point of today's episode. I want you to leave thinking, I should appreciate how extraordinary it is that we know as much as we do. And then remember that there is still so much more to discover. That's the kind of curiosity I want to challenge you to today. That's the kind of curiosity that I feel is missing from humanity today. So tomorrow we'll keep going with this series, and we're going to leave history behind. We're going to come back home, and we'll talk about the strangest mystery any of us will ever encounter, which is our own mind and memory and dreams and consciousness and free will and who are you really? We're going to talk about all that, but because if history is difficult to understand, the person staring back in the mirror might be the greatest mystery of all. So listen, friends, my name's Glenn and I'm your friend. You and I are children of God, the God of the universe, the God that made everything. And that God made you and I to be the absolute best versions of ourselves we can possibly be. Not average versions, not a little bit below average or even a little bit above. In order for us to achieve, we must question humbly and never forget that the moment you become absolutely convinced you've figured everything out, that's the moment you stop learning and the moment you stop reaching for your full potential. Fair? Fair. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 5:30 a.m. We'll do it all over again right here on hashtag Rise and Grind. Have an incredible day. Peace.